We are talking about Venus in Cancer today, and it is one of the part series of what we're going to be talking about in tandem, which is Venus in Cancer plus Chiron and Aries, which is going to be my next live. Because that transit starting off as a square is going to be a very interesting experience. And honestly, for a lot of you that are essentially dealing with this feeling of like not being comfortable relating certain aspects of yourself and having difficulties talking about pain, this square will be for you, and it'll essentially allow you to literally open up and show like, this is what I want to do. This is an aspect of myself that is quite painful. I want to work it out. I, I want to feel comfortable, but until I get through this pain of what's holding me back, I'm not going to be able to. So that's pretty much the vibe of Cancer. I'm gonna wait for people to show up before I get into the specifics of it, but yeah, essentially what it is people are just diving deep into different aspects of, I mean, like this transit basically feels like a romance novel, of where it's like, I want comfort, I want the goddess of love, I want beauty, I want, you know, money and things of that nature, of where it's just like kind of slipping into the energy of the divine mother, right? So it's just things like soul reunion, romance novel vibes, all of the above. And essentially, this transit lasts from July 30th all the way through August 25th. And it's, it's a chill vibe. It's a chill vibe. Let me text my mod real quick. Yeah. Unless you're here already, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Um, yeah. Beans, are you here? Oh boy. Hello. You're not here yet. Let me know what sign you have, and doing the all signs reading after this as well once I talk about different things. No. Yo, you're having the worst days? What's happening? Maybe the chat will help you. Everybody new, like the live, help me out. That'd be appreciative. But yeah, Venus and Cancer, guys. This is what we're talking about today. If anybody's curious, always check the description. Thank you. I have a girlfriend, though. I want to be like that one guy. What's his name? It's like the bald guy that does like the reveals. And he's like, I have a girlfriend. Let me judge you by your ceiling fan. That guy is funny. Yeah. But yeah, anyways. So Venus in Cancer is going between July 30th and August 25th. Obviously, that will be 1 through 30 degrees of Cancer. And yeah. Oh, wow, you made it quick. Thank you. We don't have trolls today. We have what appears to be little girls. But yeah, anyways. Um, I was about to say like, oh, let's see the trolls and them interact, and then I was like, oh my god, no, I do not want to observe that at all. I do not want that to happen at all. Please, dear God, do not let that happen. Please do not let that happen. That would just be too much. We don't want that. Um, you gotta get specific with that. Ask Beans. Hey, yeah, you're right. It's still early. But anyways, let's get into the specific themes of Venus and Cancer. What time is it? 4:30. What do I look like? But everybody tap shiny things right here. It gets me excited. But yeah, so Venus and Cancer, the highlight reel of that is emotional. That is a very specific comparison, and I have not heard that before. Thank you. So with Venus and Cancer, we're dealing with emotional security and nurturing. We are dealing with home, family, past life stuff, depending on your house. We're dealing with a little bit of sensuality and sentiment. So when I think of that, I think of that like 80s Snoop Dogg song where it's like, oh, sensual seduction. But yeah, and then we're also dealing with financial flow through aesthetics. So it's actually phenomenal for different vibes of like those like calm, like chill YouTube channels, along with everybody knew like the live, hook your boy up, double tap the screen. But yeah, I don't know. The financial flow one really stuck out to me because I feel like that's a lot of like aesthetic pages on Instagram. So it's like, for example, if you were to either sell digital products or affiliate market something, this is like one of those pages where I would like go to an Etsy store, buy 200 pieces of pre-made content to basically download a digital guide on like beef tallow and how that's like make people's skin and then sell a digital product on that. That's one of the things that I think about when I see an alignment like this. Thank you very much. So yeah, just like stuff like that. But anyways, let's get into it. So the theme of emotional security and nurturing, loving becomes caretaking. We don't exactly want affection during these times. We want to feel safe in it. And then expect a lot of deep conversations, emotional processing, and people like just checking in to hear your voice, like little things like that, right? So if you were to prompt the universe for something like this, I would say something along the lines of where in your life are you craving to be held, not fixed, right? Like you just want people to care about you. You just want people to be there. You just want like that human connection of the vibes, right? So that's kind of like the vibe of like emotional security versus nurturing. It's like the classic like thing of where it's like that like 1950s husband comes home to his like wife being stressed out about some nonsense and like she doesn't want anything fixed but she just wants to like hang out, right? So that's pretty much the uh the vibe. That's funny. But yeah, so it's like, you know, you just gotta ask yourself little things of like, where do you want to be cared for? How do you want to be held? How do you want to be noticed? How do you want like your relationships to nourish your soul in some way? That's essentially the vibe of what we're dealing with right now. But moving on to the next thing, which is like home, family, and kind of like the past. These, I guess you could say, like ancestral karma and family karma that's resurfacing is going to be interesting. Once again, it depends on the house you have. So it's like if you have family karma, essentially what it is like this could be some ancestral stuff. This could be some genetic memory. This could be some past life stuff. It really, really depends on you, you know, and the house you have Cancer in. But we're getting that to the all signs reading. Um, in terms of like that, you could look at it as like old homes, childhood patterns, wanting to go back to your childhood home. Ancestral stories are making their way into your relationships and things like that. So it's like you may feel a pull to reconnect with your roots and redefine what your idea of home is. So it's like if you had a certain smell, you could go chase that smell, you know. It's like during Venus and Cancer times, if we were to throw it back to the business concept of what we're dealing with, like, you know, Yankee Candle's going to be ripping right now. Like go check their sales. Like the quarterly sales for them are going to be up, you know what I'm saying? So in terms of like how you would prompt this and maybe take some time to journal it and like figure it out through yourself, I would say something along the lines of what part of your past still defines how you love? So it's like, is this a connection with your mom? Is this a connection with your parents? Is this a connection with your guardian? Are you still butthurt about that person in middle school that broke up with you and you thought it could work, but you weren't even fully developed people yet, let alone adults, just people in general? Like you were still defining your personality. So it's like when you ask these things, it's like, what do you want to do? How do you want to make these things happen? How do you want to improve? And that's like the question you should be asking overall. Now, moving on to sensuality and sentiment. Venus in Cancer adores like cozy aesthetics, soft fabrics, candles, you know, your grandma's dishes, an old ring. If you're weird, you're probably putting on your dead fat grandma's moo. Like things like that. Maybe like little aesthetics, little things from a first date, so on and so forth. So there's like a return to intimacy through emotion and texture and connectivity. Like that's kind of what we're dealing with here. So when it comes to that, this is what I was talking about in regards to like foods, scents, sacred objects, and just that general return to emotional connection and just feeling close to someone, right? So in terms of like something you can do to align with this, it's like you can create a love altar with objects from your lineage, past lovers, and essentially give thanks to those that like shaped your heart, right? So it's an opportunity where people can open up, they can connect, they can look at those memories, they can create a sacred space for you to, get in there. So yeah, I mean that's something you can do. Now the topic that interests me is everybody new like the live. Double tap. Ow. Thank you. If you want to actually learn astrology for realsies, click that link and don't be a lazy bum that watches DM to DF tarot card readings that will never come true. Now, essentially, moving on to what interests me is the financial flow through aesthetic investments, right? So this is what I was talking about in regards to like Yankee Candle and like stuff like little stuff like that, just like watching like their earnings reports and things of that nature. So it's like with that, it's not necessarily like this is like a direct translation to markets or whatever you got going on. It is a connection to understanding of how you can apply this energy of what people like, right? Because when we're talking about sales, we're talking about good aspects of Venus and Jupiter and in alignment with the moon, right? A good moon reception. So it's like, depending on how you play it, guidance for Scorpio, I'm getting to that. The all signs reading is coming up after I talk about the chakras and some ritual ideas of what you guys can do. And then we're getting to the all signs reading, and Scorpio is on the list. So, excuse me. But anyways, with the financial flow and aesthetics investment with Venus, Venus is always a planet you want to pay attention to because it's how people relate. It's what people enjoy at that time. And, with the old statement of the customer is often wrong, but you do have to make them happy coming up, that is essentially what's the vibe, right? Of where Venus, like, you have to make them happy. You have to relate to people. You have to relay a message. You have to talk to people. So that's pretty much the vibe with that, right? So it's like you may feel drawn to beautify your space. You may want to invest in antiques. You may want to gift loved ones just because. You may get into things like real estate, nesting, like getting a nest egg together, savings, and understanding emotional value, right? So one of the basic things that you can do with Venus and Cancer is to track emotional spending, tracking impulse buys. And this goes both ways. You can track this for yourself. And if you buy something, you can ask yourself, why did I buy this? Why did I make this purchase? How did it improve my life? What did I feel? And you can do these things to literally identify the exact process that maybe you have a potential customer going for. Like, okay, if they felt this and this is the most amount of sales, how do I cultivate that feeling? How to create a funnel for that feeling? How to create a channel or lead flow to constantly manage that feeling, right? Like, my thing is I want to educate people on astrology. That's something I find interesting. What do I want to make people feel with that? I want people to feel knowledgeable. I want people to feel abundant. I want them to feel like instead of manifestation or things of like channeling all your energies in alignment, being in such a space of where you're just like blah, you're very blah. Um, it's like I don't want people to feel that like cult like feeling of where they just want to dive into astrology just cuz like I don't want that. I want people to actually expand. I want people to be excited. I want people to make these things happen and be elated when they talk about these things and actually see the connection of using this planet for this experience through this house, and bam, there it is. So yeah, there's stuff like that. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much the vibe with that. So it's just something to think about. And the other question is for more of a personal thing is like, are you trying to soothe or are you trying to truly invest in your comfort? Like, what do you want to do? You know? So yeah, just managing cash flow, basic things like that. Now moving on to the chakras. So the chakras we're dealing with here is the heart, the throat, and the root. The only difference for the classical understanding of the chakras and me is like the traditional root chakra is your crotch or the base of your spine, and I see the root chakra as your feet, right? So it's like your 12th house. So I see it as your subconscious understanding of, what's the word? Your subconscious emotional flow and interpretation of like life in general that way. So when we talk about the heart chakra from this perspective is like, this is where Cancer and Venus kind of blend energies. And it's all about like expecting grief, a sense of longing, and a fierce loyalty to essentially surface, right? And this is based around a certain emotion. So when we deal with the Cancer energy and we deal with the Cancerian experience, it's an opportunity for you to really integrate and grow with those feelings of just grief and all that nonsense popping off. So when I say grief, this is a lot of family stuff. This is a lot of stuff that's been on your heart. And this is a lot of experiences for you to just like ask yourself, is your heart open or are you just overly responsible for everyone else's needs? You know? So that's pretty much what it is in regards to that. So when we think about like your needs, it's like you got to ask yourself, like when you feel that you're slipping out of resonating with a specific experience, or who are you catering to? Why are you catering to that person? Why are you holding yourself back to that person? And that's like the big question, right? Now, when we move on to the throat chakra, this is the next step of you essentially dealing with that, which is you may need to voice emotional truths that are, you've kept hidden. You need to figure that out. You need to talk about it. You need to ask those people and essentially ask, like, what needs to be said aloud, not just silently carried, because it's like, if you've been carrying resentment for years, like, what are you doing with your life? What are you, like, why? What are you doing in your life to where it's like you can't say what you need out loud? What happened to just being a child, being free, and just saying these things? So it's kind of like that. Just be yourself, man. Like, stop catering to other people. That's what Venus and Cancer is teaching you. It's helping everybody with a sense of like how the planets are working is it's like Venus is going into Cancer, and then it's like Chiron's also going retrograde in Aries at that time. Excuse me. I had to sneeze. Thank you. And then it's like shortly after that, Mars is going retrograde in Libra. So it's like we have this cardinal square and then a cardinal T square, which is pushing people to feel. It's pushing people to go back into their pain of who they are and what they can't release, and essentially at the same time see the codependency that it created and feel attached to it at the same time. So it's like when people are going back to their old pains, they're going to feel immediately drawn to their old forms of codependency to not deal with that pain. And what Cancer is trying to do is Cancer is trying to separate those two energies and basically go, care about yourself, man. What do you want to feel? What do you want to make happen? How do you want to have this experience? No, I will not read you for free, but what you can get is I'm doing an all signs reading in about like 10 minutes. So yeah. That's the throat chakra. Just say what you gotta say. But root chakra. So the root chakra, this is about security, home, safety, emotional foundation. And you gotta ask yourself, like, are you creating your own sense of home or are you outsourcing it through others, right? So essentially it is a opportunity for just like I said, recognizing codependency, recognizing how just like you're caring for others instead of yourself, because that's how you need to care for yourself. Just being there and doing anything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, that sucks, man, but like, there were probably signs for like a really long time. That's all I gotta say. And also, dude, I don't know, man. Like, people just be waking up for no reason, just being like, I don't feel this anymore. And it was probably something that went on for a long time and you just didn't pay attention to it. But so with the root chakra, it's all about like creating your own sense of home and just not outsourcing it by being a people pleaser. That's pretty much what it is. Now ritual ideas for what you can do. Okay. So rituals, ideas that you can just like just randomly do is create a cozy space, get a candle, a blanket, some soft tones, soft music, and essentially place your hand over your heart and just repeat, I deserve love that feels like home, beginning with me. And then what you want to do after that is you want to write a letter to a version of you that learned to love through survival. And then essentially you want to burn or bury it and then replace it with a new vow and say, I nurture what nurtures me. So essentially what it is you're just creating a home, cozy space. You're learning how to chill. You're learning how to vibe. And you are just essentially just getting rid of that people-pleasing side of yourself that has a lot of things that you need to heal. And you're just burning that away and doing some other things. So with that being said, once again, that ritual is cozy space, candle, blanket, soft music. Place your hand over your heart. Say, I deserve to love that feels like home, beginning with me. So love yourself before you love other people. And then just write a letter to the version of yourself that learned how to love through survival, right? So just like talk to that person that just was people pleasing, adapting, and constantly shifting to other things, And then just burn that letter symbolizing letting it go, and then replace it with a vow of I nurture what nurtures me, which in simple terms for relationships is like who likes you. Real easy. Yeah, so that's pretty much the ritual idea. Now we can move on to the all signs reading. So Aries, 22. Okay. So for Aries, essentially Aries is learning that real strength is being soft without shame. And this is interesting for Aries because they have that natural square that I was talking about within their own chart because they have Cancer in the 4th house. So with Aries having Cancer in the 4th house, they're dealing with that square and they're feeling that thing of where they've been sacrificing themselves and their own desires for a long time. And they're learning that real strength, real pioneering comes from within, not just positioning themselves in such a way where what? Oh, that's cool. I don't know who Becca is, but whatever. Is that your cat? But yeah, so Aries is just dealing with that thing of where it's like they always want to be a leader, they always want to be a savior for everyone else, and they really like that feeling of being a pioneering leader that someone can rely on without recognizing that like they whatchamacallit, bro, I'm not doing personalized live readings. So yeah, essentially like Aries is just dealing with that energy of what are they doing? They're just dealing with how being a leader in a way that isn't exactly beneficial to them and just being a leader for the sake of being a leader because they like the feeling of being a leader is essentially just not the way anymore. So it's like they're learning how to do what they like. They're learning how to do what they enjoy. They're learning how to do what they want to experience, and that's pretty much it. Now, moving on to Taurus. So Taurus, essentially what it's saying is your voice holds the nectar. Speak from their sensitivities, So why this is because Cancer is in Taurus's 3rd house, and they are learning how to speak very softly. They are learning how to speak very kindly. They are learning how to just speak with a sense of sensitivity and give people that gift of calmness and peace that they're looking for, right? So essentially what it is essentially they are, dude, I'm talking about Taurus. This is you right now. So they're learning about, they're learning how to, they're learning how to just speak calmly to people, speak life into people, speak care into people, speak abundance into people. So essentially what that is an opportunity for them to really give the gift. Bro, what? Oh, right. Sorry, I read that backwards. Yeah, you probably are an Aquarius. I forget you guys do dates differently. Yeah, you're Aquarius. But yeah, Aquarius is like second to last, so you get in for it. I also do. You can do these readings for sun, moon, and rising. So it's like I do them like it's like 80% ascendant, but if you want to add in a little extra flair, you can do your moon and sun. But anyways, we're on Taurus right now. Taurus is simple. Taurus is just like they are learning how to speak kindly to others, and then through that, they're going to learn how to speak more kindly to themselves, which is going to add into that like sense of self love that Venus is creating. But yeah, anyways, moving on to Gemini. So Gemini is their emotions are valid currency, and they're letting them flow without apology. This is kind of weird for Geminis because they have it in their second house. So right now they have a lot of luck with being very spiritual and seeing things and experiencing things and actually looking into their values and what they want and what they want to experience in a way that is actually abundant to them. So essentially it is I'm well aware. It is essentially from like they're learning to value their own emotions, as odd as that is, because it's like with Gemini and Gemini being the rising sign, they have essentially what they have is an opportunity to. So it's like the natural energy of Gemini is to constantly adapt, constantly create, and constantly evoke communication. And what they value is the energy of like care and emotion and excitement and creating those vibes, right? But they don't but going through that, it's like they feel like they have to be cold and unemotional. So when they're like ebbing and flowing and adapting to different mentalities to learn different things, what they need to do is they need to open up, expand, and essentially identify that what they care about is important too, instead of just caring about learning in general. So when it comes to learning in general and opening themselves up, it's not exactly the way that they want to recognize, right? So they have to learn that emotions are needed. They have to learn that it's valid. They have to learn that these emotions are powerful. So it's an opportunity for them to essentially just flow without apology instead of like adapting to everyone else. That's what they're going to learn. Now, moving on to Cancer. So, Cancer it's their cosmic return. Straight up, they're going to have a lot of luck. And they're going to be doing what I've been saying they should be doing, which is building a container for self-love and like not building their boundaries or their emotional needs around fear, because that's what they did. They built a shell around fear. They built a construct around what they want. They built a essentially like, yo, can you guys like tap the heart stuff emojis and just make that explode? I like seeing that while you're chatting. Thank you. But yeah, so essentially what's going on with that, yay, thank you. I like looking at that. So essentially what we're dealing with is they're building a new container for self-love because the Cancers build their shell out of fear. And it's not exactly good because what they do is they don't exactly resonate with that. And what they build is a container that eventually inevitably blocks them from their manifestations in their nervous system, so they don't feel the need to really open up and explode and expand in such a way to where they're working towards what they want, right? So when it comes to that, they have an opportunity to be more expansive, be more abundant, and be more excited about what they want to create instead of fearing what is going to block them from something that they didn't even have. So that's pretty important. Now, moving on to Leo. Leo has this in their 12th house, so they need to rest. They need to release the pressure to perform. And they don't need to be on to be loved, if that makes any sense. So when we talk about Leos, Beans, it's okay. I don't know what's going on. If they're saying anything crazy, I can't understand it, so it's whatever. So when we talk about Leo, they have Cancer in their 12th house, so they're going to learn the value of rest. They're going to learn the value of working through their subconscious emotions. They're going to learn the value of just dealing with that energy of, not needing to shine to gain the recognition that they want. So when it comes to that Leo energy, they're dealing with a lot of rest. They're releasing the pressure to perform, and they're opening themselves up to an opportunity to just be accepting, right? So this is essentially the same thing I was talking about with Capricorn yesterday for Chiron retrograde in Aries. Go watch that if you haven't seen it already. And then my next live is going to be putting these two together. So essentially what it is Leos are just recognizing that they have feelings too, as odd as that is, because they're always focusing on what they care about. And similar to what Gemini does, they are essentially obsessed with whatchamacallit. They're essentially obsessed. What are they obsessed with? Yeah, Aquarius is 6 signs away. We're working on it. We are working on it. But yeah, like Leos are obsessed with just like being seen and having a sense of control over the energy of what like care is, if that makes any sense. So look at it this way. Essentially what's going on with them is they're like they care. They're but at the same time I don't know how to explain it. It's like they care about what they want, but it's like they care about having a container for energy where that everybody else can like put their care, their energy, and their attention to, if that makes any sense. So it's like they care more about that the same way Gemini cares about learning and adapting to everyone else instead of taking care of their own signs, right? So that's essentially what's going on with that energy of where it's like, it's odd. It's not exactly the best thing to do, but with Venus there, they are focusing on their energies of self-love and abundance. So it's an opportunity to really learn how to rest and recognize like who likes you for you instead of who are you adapting to in order to basically steal their energy, where it's like almost a infinite loop of vampiric energies. So it's like it's an odd energy to, I don't know, it's just weird, like it's just like something you don't like. All the signs with Venus and Cancer are learning how they sacrifice themselves and their own self-love, and it's just a whole bunch of crap that like they just don't have to do, so that's like what it is. But it's like hitting who is it? It's hitting I guess you could say it's hitting Leos in that way more specifically, right? So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with that. I don't know. I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's good. I feel like other signs have it differently. But anyways, let's move on to Virgo, because I am sure that that's going to be entertaining, because I believe that's in their 11th house. And unlike Leo, it's even more people-pleasing. Now, Virgo is, they got to learn how to nurture the chosen family. They got to let community be their sanctuary. And when it comes to Virgo, it's like right now they're kind of taking a step back because they don't recognize how they are, like every Leo season, Virgos get reminded that like they just sacrifice any and everything about themselves to essentially, like, whatchamacallit? Yo, what in the Google Translate is going on? But yeah, Virgos basically just sacrifice themselves for anything and everything because they feel like they can like make something better than what's going on, and they don't care about that people have to learn on their own. And essentially, they're just willing to like drop everything to help someone do something the quote unquote right way, you know? So it's a weird experience where they make friends, people like them, but in this world people they confuse service with servitude. And what I mean by that is people see a Virgo as wanting to help without being asked, and they make them their slaves. That's pretty much what happens. So when it comes to that, and it comes to them understanding that, essentially what Venus is teaching them is they're teaching them the energy of self-love by maintaining your service for yourself. You don't have to do all that. Dog, chill out. Like, don't do that. It's not necessary. Virgos can keep their service, keep their energy to themselves. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You know? And that's pretty much what it is, right? So it's like, let your community be your sanctuary. Let the people that you have helped come back to you. If they don't come back, they don't need you. They don't want it to begin with, you know? And things like that. So with that being said, let's move on to Libra. So Libra is essentially love is what's showing them what legacy means. So they're learning how to lead with softness and care and abundance and opportunity. So with that being said, what's Libra's essentially dealing with is the focus on they're dealing with a focus on, I'm not really sure. They're dealing with I don't know, it's like almost like a crisis of purpose, of where it's like they know what they need to do, they know what they have to do, but what they are neglecting is understanding the value of what they add to the world, right? So essentially what they're adding to the world is they're adding an opportunity for them to, like, they're just trying to figure out like what's meaningful to them, what's valuable to them, what is actually useful, because they're kind of getting punched in the face in terms of, like, they're getting punched in the face in terms of like recognizing that they're not really helping anyone because they're endlessly giving, like, basically, like, they're just giving with expectation, if that makes any sense. So it's like Libras are in this space of where they're just giving, 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 not getting anything back because they're giving with expectation, right? They're like, so, which basically isn't giving at all. Like, it's not necessary. It's not what they need. So they're learning how to lead with softness and understanding the same thing that a lot of these signs are coming to, of where it's like, if they love you or if they like you, they will come back on their own. You don't have to force it, which is something that's difficult with Libra, you know? Yeah. That's pretty much what's going on. Like, Libras are just doing it for the wrong people with the wrong expectations and the wrong reasons. And they have that same energy that Virgo has, of where it's like they have that subconscious need to be a savior when people are supposed to learn how to do it on their own. You want my social security number too? Now moving on to Scorpio. Yeah. So for Scorpio, we're dealing with the ninth-ish house. I know, I'm just messing with you because everybody asked that, and I think it's pretty obvious. But yeah. So Scorpio is there's a memory asking for forgiveness, and they need to set it free. This memory is around the idea of something that they dreamed of, somewhere that they wanted to go, and somewhere that they wanted to experience, but it wasn't based in any um, it wasn't exactly based in anything that was beneficial for their soul. They just wanted to do it because they wanted to be set free themselves, so they've latched onto a memory or an experience that isn't exactly resonating with them. So for Scorpio, this could be a dream. This could be philosophy. This could be something they thought was cool and then learned what it wasn't, but are still basing certain aspects of their life on it. And they need to recognize that they have to move up and move on in order to be released, right? So look at it this way, right? Don't laugh things off. Don't, mourn the memory. Just let it go and recognize that the classic human experiences of going through the lessons versus going through the experience itself. Um, Bro, you got some weird ideas if you're asking that question. Like, what? I don't even want to answer it because it's like your own, bro. It's your own like mental narrative that just doesn't make any sense and serves no value. But yeah. So with that being said, Scorpio is just kind of dealing with this energy of like, have a good sleep, dog. Um. So yeah, what else is going on? I don't know. Scorpio is just going through some weird thing where it's like they're dealing with that constant battle of moving through life and then having dreams and then going through a lesson um, that is not exactly aligned with their growth journey, right? So it's like that constant battle of like, I want this. It might take a long time to get this, but I have to go through all of this to actually make it happen, you know? And then by the time I go through that, I don't even want the thing I want anymore. And that was the lesson in itself of moving forward on your journey. So, with that being said, let's move on to Sagittarius because Scorpios have to release and let these things go. That's why you're asking crazy questions. You're tired. So, Sagittarius, they have Cancer in the eighth house. Depending on your alignments, could be eighth, could be ninth, could be a little bit of the seventh, depending on degree. Um, so their depth is worthy of devotion, and they need to learn how to not laugh things off. So essentially, what's going on with that is these Saggies are in a space where, dang, we got people all over. That's what's up. Yeah. UK person, if you're interested in learning like the depths of like my style of astrology, you can scroll up through the chat, and the Healing Rebel has a link to my school, which is it's a group as well as course platform of where we all collectively like learn astrology the way I see it and manifest together. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. But anyways, Sagittarius is dealing with the energy of not taking what they really care about seriously and kind of laughing off just by being in a space of different ideologies, different understandings, different perspectives and hopes for what they got going on, right? So essentially, what it is an opportunity for them to just like have a care. Oh, thank you. Just like care about stuff, just do stuff, just like you know, be honest about what you enjoy, be honest about what you like align with, right? Because it's like what people don't understand about Sagittarius is it's like they have so much optimism, they have so much excitement, they have so much purpose. Um, I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, uh, what I say to a lot of people that say that is you have to define what making it is, you know? And for me, how I define making it is like this being like my full job and career and like I'm just a super low key rich guy that makes that crazy internet money, you know? And one of my goals for that is to have 1,000 members in my school. I currently have 17, so we're at least 1% of the way there. But yeah, let's go for 2%. Hook your boy up. But yeah, and then I also want to make like super cool courses. Like I have like the elements course that I'm working on. I was talking about on one of my other lives. I have one filmed, and they're taking a long time to film because I'm literally like putting myself in every element. So it's like I've been filming the water one for like over a year. I just turned 27. So I've been filming the water one for over a year, of where it's like so it's like I broke it down in sections of where it's like water from an elemental standpoint, where it's like we're talking about Pisces, mutable water, so I had to find some mist. We're talking about Cancer, so I had to like film near a beach and partially film underwater. And then we're talking about Scorpio, where I climbed an ice waterfall, and I talked about the water energies there, and I just had to like do what I do best, which is stunting on people by my locational capabilities. So that's coming out. I finished the Earth one, where I literally climbed a mountain. What? I don't know what the point of that is, but do you? But yeah, anyways, back to Sagittarius. So it's like, for example, talking about what I just talked about and talking about like what's deeply important to me is essentially like Sagittarius would laugh that off and be like, "Oh, it'd be nice to have 1,000 members in my school one day." Um, Feeling a supernatural entity is related to astrology? Not exactly. Like it's more or less just you vibing with some spirits, and it could be good, it could be bad. I don't know. But either way, you're feeling some type of way to where your light is shining bright enough to where they're focusing on you for whatever purpose. I don't know. When it comes to supernatural entities, I'm always careful. Don't dive too deep into something that you don't understand. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the vibes of Sag. Moving on to Cappy. Capricorn. So Capricorns are rebuilding how they receive and understanding that they don't have to earn tenderness, right? So when we're talking about Capricorn from this space and perspective, we're learning that Aquarius is next, dog. I got you. Thanks for staying up that late. But essentially Capricorns, like, so this deals with the ascendant. Capricorn is oh, Candylicious. That's whatchamacallit. The bottom one is the link I was talking about. But essentially what's going on with Capricorn is it's like, look at the ascendant, right? The ascendant is your aura, it's your mask, it's the vibration that your spirit wrote in on and wants you to, is the main like focal point of how you want to learn your lessons, right? So when we're talking about learning our lessons, essentially what we're dealing with is a certain aspect of like it's an aspect of it's basically like the story you tell yourself of who you have to become, blah 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 blah. And the link is not readable. Damn. Beans, post the link just by itself. It's also in the description. Thanks for letting me know though. But yeah. So yeah, essentially what's going on is like the Capricorns are in this space of where they feel like they have to be very status driven. They feel like they have to be very oh, I actually remembered your name right. That's cool. They have to be very, what's the word? Performance based. Thank you. So it's like Capricorns are very like they have to be sweet. So it's like Capricorns feel like they have to be performance based, which blocks them from just having unconditional love or just love off the strength of them being themselves. Personally, I don't think a lot of people experience unconditional love for a multitude of reasons, but Capricorns especially don't, but they're setting themselves up for failure in that way, right? So when we talk about that and we understand that perspective of them on the opposite side and having Venus basically being shown to them in a very lucky way, is Capricorns have an opportunity to rebuild what they like, what their metric is for how they receive love. So when we look about that, and we think about that and we talk about that, Capricorns are like, okay, I can cry. I can be me. I can just sit and do whatever it is I want to do, and people will appreciate and accept me. That is the energy of Capricorn, of what they're going to learn at least. So take advantage of that Venusian lesson because it's kind of huge and powerful for you. So yeah, just think about it. Now Aquarius, we're finally here, dude. We're finally here, man. You can go to sleep after this. Take a nap. So Aquarius, they're dealing with a sense of daily rituals to unlock emotional clarity. So I remember you were talking about you got randomly broken up with, so someone was probably thinking about it for months and months and months, and you were like, you got the crap into the stick. I wouldn't try to make it anything extra or more than what it is. So yeah, but what you can do is just find a routine to essentially dive into your emotional side. Find a routine to feel things, because Aquariuses, they don't exactly feel. They understand what feeling is. They understand what that's going on, and essentially how they can deal with those daily rituals is just journaling, having journaling prompts, having journaling experiences, and taking the time to essentially just open up to themselves and understand what they have going on, right? So it's like just take that time to feel, take that time to process. Literally, when you wake up, don't go on your phone right away. Spend 30 minutes to an hour just sitting quietly, and then all of your problems will likely have a very quick answer to come to you, right? So just taking that time to have a daily practice of what's going on, like what I'm doing daily right now, what I've introduced habits is like I'm learning French. And then I'm also doing a lot of sit-ups because it's the summertime and I want to be out here, doing my thing, expressing myself. So that's pretty much what's going on. Like it's basically just find a daily ritual because it's in your sixth house of you to appreciate, understand, and to just sit in a peaceful space where you can process your emotions. That's it. Now when we're dealing with Pisces, Pisces is dealing with their fifth house. So it's like your creativity is your healing balm. Make something sentimental. And just spend time, like Pisces has to do it even more, where they have to double down on how they feel. They have to double down on expressing themselves. They have to double down on their creative endeavors. They have to double down on their meditation because it's also aligned with the North Node and they gotta move forward spiritually and push the space first spiritually and blah 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 blah, and essentially open themselves up to like super super Pisces energies because they don't have Neptune on them anymore. They don't have Saturn on them anymore, and they need to do it on their own. They need to be. They need to express themselves and move up and move on. You feel me? So essentially, what's going on with that is they need to just like be Super Saiyan Pisces mode and just get on those vibes. That's pretty much it. Like it's nothing really, not too crazy. But yeah, that's about it. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any curiosities? It's been about an hour. You boys got to take a break. But yeah, drop some questions. I'll be back in like a minute. I needed some more tea and snacks, so I'm back. Why are you saying made Jesus, dude? You tired. I don't know, like... Bro, you're not having a bad time. You just got broken up with. You're like 21. Chill out. Yeah, I'm happy to help. What do you mean, what will you get? What are you talking about? Damn. Choking on some pretzels. Yeah, bro, please clarify what you're talking about. If you're talking about my school, you have a bunch of astrology courses and a community for people to support you, as well as some group calls to explain deeper things about astrology and how to actually work with the energies. If you're talking about what happens after a breakup, no girl. Real simple. Yeah, dude. I mean, you're in India, bro. Like, if there was like no signs of marriage, your parents probably were bullshitting. I don't know. And you were 21. You got more life to live. You don't know. Hey, yo, what the man? Oh man, that's gotta. Yeah, that's a whole web of nonsense. I don't know what to tell you about that, man. That's wild. Oh. But yeah, man. Best of luck. I'll be going live a little later. In situations like these, there's high probability they will come back if they just abruptly did it because unfinished business. Unfinished business, but will it last? I don't know. Not my job to figure out. Well, unless actually sometimes it is my job to figure that out. But in this case, it is not. Well, it sounds like you got your answer. Hey, dude, it seems like you know your answer on that, man. Anyways, you should go to sleep and stop thinking about it. And I gotta get back to work. Bye.